All right, hello everybody. You're listening to Lipstick and Leather, and on the phone with me is Rick Bales from 60 West in Cruella de Vil. How's the day treating you?
Oh, couldn't be much better right now. It's been great. At this point, we were playing a lot, every week, but we haven't played since March now. So I've been writing a lot of music and probably going to record another album. We just released the last album in April 1st, so just as everything shut down, we released our album at the worst time possible. But at the same time, we keep writing music and doing things, so it's going to, for lack of anything else to do, it's going to benefit us by writing some more music, and it's been cool. I got a lot of new stuff I want to get out there, and probably going to start that in another month or two.
Looking forward to it. Now, why the decision to re-record the Downtown Possum and Angry's Neighbor tracks, The Reason, and Cloudy Skies for 60 West?
Oh, just because they have... Well, have you heard all three versions?
I have, yes.
Because they all have a different take on the same tunes, and I feel like every band I've been in, those songs have been worth giving another interpretation to.
Awesome. Now, you have a bunch of unreleased songs you've played live, such as Seems Like Forever, Coming Down, There's a Time, and Believe. Will these tracks ever be released, maybe on a Rick Bales solo album or the next 60 West album?
Believe will be on the next 60 West album. Wow, very good research. What were the other ones you just mentioned?
Seems Like Forever, Coming Down, and There's a Time.
Seems Like Forever... I love that song, and every time I've recorded, that's been a candidate, and it just hasn't quite made it yet, but it may. The next album is definitely just an idea at this point, so it seems like Forever may be a candidate again for that. Although I've got so much new music, it's going to be difficult to make choices, but, wow, that's awesome that you even know of that.
Now, is Mama, which was in this set list, is it the same track as the Cruella de Vil track from Face the Future?
Which one?
Mama?
Oh, yes, it is. Yeah, it is. That's an old Cruella de Vil song.
That would be cool to be on the next 60 West album, too.
Another possibility as well, yes. That I love that song, because it's about a guy who finds he has a terminal illness, and his struggle to tell his family and his mother about what's coming. How can I tell Mama that I won't be coming home?
Right. Now, did you and Nick Nezkovsky from the Acoustics ever write any original material together?
We didn't write original material together, but we did perform a lot of stuff. I was writing a lot of country-style music at the time. I had a song called Hazel Eyes at the time. It was a really good tune. It just doesn't fit into any of the other bands that I've been in. But no, I didn't really write with him, but we did perform some original tunes that I wrote at the time.
Awesome. All right. Do you still paint skulls?
I do. Sure, whenever I get the chance to. Now we're in North Carolina on vacation, and we sat down and did some drawing this weekend. I'm not an artist, but I do like to just draw sometimes. Actually drew a bunch of Dr. Seuss stuff this weekend.
Hope you post some photos.
Yeah, maybe I will. I mean, I'm not. It's for my own entertainment, but yes, I do enjoy doing stuff like that.
Now, we were just chatting about Hazel Eyes. Now, Downtown Possum did actually record a version of that track, correct?
Yes, Downtown Possum did, because they were, I guess you would call them a country band. I mean, you listen to them. I don't know what. We would do everything from Metallica to Al Green, but with a fiddle player, a cajon player, and me playing guitar. So we definitely had a different take on almost everything we played. So yeah, we did.
Now, how did Cruella de Vil hook up with getting Sabotage bass player Keith Collins to produce their debut album? Sorry, the 4 tracks.
We were playing in the Tampa area, and there was quite a music scene here at the time. Sabotage was at the top of their game at the time. About the same time that Keith left the band and Johnny Middleton took over as bass player, and so he was looking for projects to do, and he had his own solo project called Keith Collins Crunch, but he was looking for other bands to try and produce and help out, and well, I guess he picked us. So it was an awesome collaboration. I loved working with him, and it was about 10 years ago. I looked him up because, over the years I've worked with a bunch of different people, and in hindsight, you kind of realize how great some situations were and how some weren't. And being the first person that ever we did any production work with, we really didn't realize how great he was. He was, we knew he was great. We knew we enjoyed it, but then in comparison to other people we worked with, he was far above almost everyone we worked with in California or anywhere else. And so I looked him up, and we were going to try and do something again. And honestly, he disappeared on me. I haven't talked to him in a few years, and haven't been able to get a hold of him. So I would love to find out what he's doing. We were starting to work on a project, and then he didn't answer his phone call one day, and I haven't heard from him since.
Darn, because I know there were some outtakes from the EP sessions that you were talking about working with a guy from Portugal to release, so that would have been super cool.
Yes, and so I was just telling my cousin Doug about that before I tried to get this access to this phone line. Yes, and I've been really slacking on that. Trying to get the 60 West album done. I've been so busy that I haven't. I've been looking through all the old tapes, and I'd like to release some of the stuff like Coming Down and things that you were mentioning earlier. And but I want to make sure that they're worthy of being released, because you hear a lot of bands dissolve, and then years later they start releasing all their demos, and they're just they were demos for a reason, or they weren't recorded for another reason because they just weren't quality material. So I want to go through and get the old recordings out and make sure that they're things that we want to release at this point, and I just haven't got around to doing it. And Coming Down will probably be one of them.
Nice.
Going Down, I'm sorry, not Coming Down. Although I had another song called Coming Down that I wrote myself, but not with Cruella de Vil.
Now, 6 tracks were recorded for Face the Future, Power of Passion, Say Goodbye, Running, Mama, and Lord Have Mercy that didn't make it on Showdown in Tinseltown. Possibly, maybe these will be also released down the road?
Well, they all got released on the Statue Records release. Well, they all got recorded on the Statue Records release. Yeah, quite possibly they could all make it to something in the future too. I mean, it'd be great if I could get together and play with the original guys at some point. But yeah, I mean, anything's possible.
Face the Future wasn't actually commercially released to buy, was it?
No, it wasn't. It was the worst timing. It was 1991. We were playing in L.A. Things were going well, playing at the Whiskey and Gazzari's and all those things, and packing the shows. But Nirvana was coming out. We were in the middle of recording the album, and Nirvana's Teen Spirit came out, and you could just see the writing on the wall. Time was running out for our style of metal, and our stuff got finished just after that. And then we had the record company themselves. They were far from professional. Like I had said before, we didn't realize how great of a producer Keith was until we worked with the producer at Statue Records, who wasn't a producer. He was worthless. So we were constantly battling with their production ideas, and which pretty much were just, let's just get this thing done. It doesn't matter whether they have a good take or a bad take. Perfect. They had no creative ideas. They had no inspiration. So there was a lot of arguing with them, and I think between the arguing and the bad timing of Nirvana really knocking metal out, they just abandoned the whole thing. I think they felt like they were kind of punishing us for arguing with them about how to produce and create the record, so they weren't going to release it.
Now, what made the band decide to sign to Statue Records? What selling points did they have at that time?
None. They were we had a different sound at the time. I mean, you've heard the cassette that we did, and we weren't your normal Motley Crue or Skid Row or thing that was happening at the time. We had our own unique sound.
Kind of more edge, I would say.
What's that?
You had kind of more edge than a lot of those bands, I felt.
A little more edge. I think, I wasn't a high singer, which was like, at the time was just the thing to be, and if you couldn't sing high, you weren't a great singer, which is ridiculous. Neither tooting my horn or not. I mean, we were just different. We had our own vibe, and most of the record companies just didn't get it. I sent demos out to everybody, and I've got a stack of letters saying thanks but no thanks from just about everybody, and Statue was pretty much the only one that said sure. So out of lack of other options, that's why we signed with Statue at the time. There was one thing, though, I don't know if you know about it, but I went to GIT in Guitar Institute of Technology in California, and with the first week I got there, they had these, what they called counseling sessions, and basically it was just sitting down with the greatest guitar players in the world. I mean, there was everyone from Joe Pass to Scott Henderson to Paul Gilbert to Jeff Young from Megadeth. Just from 10 to noon, there'd be a room with 10 chairs in it, and you can go sit with Jeff Young from Megadeth and talk and jam and whatever. It's 2 free open hours of discussion and hanging out with incredible musicians. So I was in one of these sessions with Jeff Young, and I handed him that same cassette that I sent you not too long ago. And literally the next day, his attorney calls and goes, he was just loving it. And Juan Crocier from Rat was looking for a band to produce at the time. And I mean, we just sat down in L.A. literally a week earlier. And so our drummer and our bass player didn't come. And so it's me and my brother basically there. And the guy's like, the attorney wanted to meet us, and he wanted to get Juan Crocier to produce something for us, and he was very interested, but he wanted to come see us play. At this point, it's just me and my brother, and we don't have a band, but we're in L.A., so I'm thinking we'll replace the other 2 guys in 10 minutes and be ready for this. Well, that 10 minutes took about a year. And so in that time, that opportunity faded, and the recording opportunity that we got was Statue Records, which was not a good one.
And you attended the Guitar Institute with John Bales, correct? Your brother?
My brother, correct, yep.
Very cool. Now, on the Juan topic that we were just talking about, now your bass player had just left. Did you ever consider maybe getting Juan to produce the album and play bass on it? Like an album that never...
Well, that would have definitely been a possibility, but the first thing we had to do was showcase for him, and we couldn't ask him to be part of that. So we finally got him. We kind of hooked up with him about 2 years later. After we were up and doing great at the time, packing the places and had the band together, doing well. But by then he had moved on and found some other band to produce, and the opportunity had just gone.
For sure. Now, how did you discover vocal teacher Al Cohen, who also is a vocal teacher for Crimson Glory's Midnight?
He was just the guy to go to in Tampa. He was the vocal teacher, and he was teaching all the metal guys and rock guys. So, yeah, that was just because he was the guy here in town. And, yes, we got to meet Midnight through that relationship. He was an awesome dude. He was great. And a great singer. I mean, he was an incredible singer, but he was really an awesome, great person, too.
Is there any video footage of Midnight performing Crimson Glory's Lost Reflection with Cruella de Vil? Live.
There may be, but I don't have it. But we did do that at the Sunset Lounge in North Tampa. Yep. Wow, that's how did you know that? That was probably 1986. You have that video footage?
I wish I did. If I did, I'd send you a copy. No, I just heard about it a while back.
Okay. Yeah, yep. There was on Halloween one year, they always have big costume contests and stuff, and my brother John and our keyboard player Mark and Midnight all dressed up as women, and it was a funny night. So anyways.
Any plans to release the 11 Brick tracks that included Rick Howard and John and your brother John?
Dude, how do you know about Brick? Have you heard it?
I wish.
All right, well, I'll let you hear some of it. No, there are no plans to release that, but I literally bought a 4-track about 10 years ago to try and to digitize most of it, which I ended up doing, because it was really simple stuff. I mean, we have 4-track recordings of it, drums on 1 track, guitar, bass, and vocals, and my brother played bass and guitar on it, and I think it was some really great stuff, but it was really, I think there was a big backlash against, pop metal, which I hate to say that Cruella de Vil was pop metal, but compared to, we weren't pop metal like Poison, but maybe we weren't thrash metal either, which was a big thing at the time, and we weren't grunge, which was also knocking out the somewhat pop metal at the time. So in an attempt to become heavier and maybe more relevant, we did the Brick stuff, and it was really heavy. I mean, probably, if you want to compare it to anything, probably Pantera. But Pantera was a lot more groove. It was very groovy. If that makes any sense, but it was. Anyways, we probably won't release it, but I mean, who knows? I did digitize it all, and if anyone wanted to, I'd be glad to let it out there. It's some good stuff.
I know, I'd love to hear it.
It's heavy. It's very heavy.
Very cool. Now, before Valentine, you were in bands called Juvenile and Next Exit. Did you guys record any demos or original tracks, either of the two bands?
Juvenile, we recorded 1 track. Boy, what was it called? The Thief. Where did we record that? That was back in Cincinnati. So I was in a band, and it was a great band. It was me, 3 black guys, Jesse, Michael Hurd, and Keith, and this other guy, another white guy, Rick Gerke, and we played all Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, just awesome late 80s metal stuff. And we did some original stuff, and we recorded 1 original song, yeah. But that band really didn't have anywhere to go because Cincinnati's a real prejudiced town, and there were no places for... I couldn't go to the neighborhood where the black guys lived. They couldn't come to the neighborhood where I lived. It was shit. So we had to escort each other everywhere we went. but the band was great, and they were great people, and it was fun. It was a good time. We just couldn't do anything with it.
That was way back in
Exit.
1982, I believe, right?
Oh yeah, 80 to 82. And it was a fun time. It was great. I mean, just learning all those incredibly complicated Iron Maiden songs, or at least, I don't know about complicated, but progressive and challenging tunes. It was fun. It was so much fun. Such a great metal education, I guess. It was great. And we, then next Exit was like a more pop band. I mean, it was at that time, man, we've gone through, I like music in so many different directions. That was more in the U2 kind of vein of music. So that was, what year was that? That was 84, I guess, somewhere in there. And yeah, we did a 4-song demo in Tampa when we were down here, and they were all originals. And we actually we did some recording at Morrisound Studios in Tampa. I don't know if you are familiar with that, but it was the studio where all the really hardcore thrash bands at the time, like Nasty Savage. Sabotage did record there too. I wouldn't call them a thrash band, but Nasty Savage and Agent Orange and all those hardcore death metal bands all did all their music there. It was a great studio. Long gone now, though.
Well, very cool. That's all I have for questions. Thank you very, very much for your time, Rick. That was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun. I heard some of your other interviews and how the interviewees were surprised at the details you pulled out, and I am as well. So, man, thanks for digging so deep. Dude, that would be awesome. I do really appreciate your interest in everything, and I just glad to hear you're interested in the music, and you're even giving 60 West a listen. That's awesome, because it's something I'm really loving at this point, and Cruella de Vil was something I loved when that was around, and still do, obviously, and I appreciate it.
No problem. One day maybe I'll make it to Florida and get to see you guys actually do a show in person.
Dude, that would be great. I'd love to hang out. I will buy you beer all night.
That sounds great to me.
You got a place to stay anytime you come to visit.